Okay, so today I'm going to show you the traditional method of swaddling, and I'm only going to show a few, otherwise we'd be here all day doing it. There are heaps of methods of swaddling. So I'm going to show you the old traditional method that we were taught how to swaddle. So this is a flannel blanket. This is ideal for the winter months or your spring, autumn months because it is flannel, it's cotton, it is breathable. And remember here we're not promoting swaddling necessarily, but just to show moms how to do it, and for them to sort of like, they can adjust the way they want it and to try and get as much skin to skin with the baby and as much self-soothing. So this was the old way of wrapping a baby. The grannies would do something like this, really, really tight across the top. The little hand was swaddled across the top, and we pulled really tight, tucked in the little hand so the hand couldn't come out at all. So you can see there's no self-soothing going to happen. Pull the bottom up, roll the baby over, and then it was tucked in. And that is what we call a little burrito. This is a spring roll or a swaddled up baby. So this little guy really can't move at all. He's been contained totally. And grannies traditionally thought that this is a way of managing and controlling the Moro reflex and the startle reflex, and that was how the baby was put to sleep on its side. So clearly when we spoke earlier, if the baby happened to roll onto his tummy, for example, this is quite possibly when cot death would occur, because now he's got no hands to be able to lift his head and turn, and this would equate to suffocation, etc., and that baby may die. So he has no way of coming back onto his side or even onto his back. So that was the traditional way of wrapping a baby. This is sort of like a modified one that happened a little later. For the self-soothing and for not as contained, was the little hand was put to the top, and then the blanket taken over the elbow. This hand would be tucked in again, and the baby would be turned onto their side, and then baby would still be able to self-soothe. So it's sort of like a compromise, still not good enough. And then obviously every time mom would put the baby to bed, she could alternate the hands, or ideally she could have had both hands out and it would have just been a lower swaddle. But again, one has to be careful of the hip dysplasia, because look how tight the baby is wrapped and those hips are contained all the time. So this was the traditional old-fashioned swaddle, and then the more modern kind of swaddle for self-soothing. And that's basically how soothing is. So for the summer months, this is a better cloth to wrap the baby in. So some babies do need some containment, and in the summer months this might be really hot for the baby. We need to look at something that is cooler and more breathable, and this would be your muslin cloth, and we could just loosely wrap the baby. So I think the tight wrapping should be replaced with something really lighter. So for example, we could do something like this with a little baby, and it's just a really light little kind of a wrap where there's no containment of the hips, but mom still can control and manage a baby. So it's just a really light wrap. I would like to show you one way that if the baby does have a startle reflex, I know this is going to be too thick, it should be a band of material just cut like that, preferably out of muslin or cotton. Mom could put the baby onto their side. I know the promo is back to sleep, but if the baby needs to be contained, you roll the baby forward, tuck that in, and just have the hands out for self-soothing and just tuck. And so the hips are free, but we've just contained that one little arm so the startle reflex doesn't wake the baby up. And that's just a very gentle way of doing it, and it's muslin, breathable, cotton, baby's not going to overheat. I also just felt it was necessary to mention these fleecy blankets. They are the rage at the moment. They're popular, and it's synthetic fiber, so we've seen lots of allergies due to the synthetic fiber, especially head and face. And on top of that, because it's synthetic, it just continues to overheat the baby. So we're seeing babies with heat rashes, and obviously overheating is one of the possible causes of cot death. is the overheating factor. So babies really need to be kept cooler, and why not just have them in a light baby grow with no swaddling? And obviously skin to skin will be more appropriate. If we needed to use a blanket, the cotton ones, these are specially shaped to wrap the baby in, but when you look at this fabric, the baby has got quite a bit of mobility still if they have been swaddled, and it's cotton, so it's more breathable. For the winter months, the old-fashioned hospital blanket, this is the cotton woven blanket, breathable, and just a really, remember when we put blankets on babies, it's just one layer. We don't do the old-fashioned way of blankets like this, because then baby has 4 layers, and that's going to be the overheating. So it's just a single layer. This is great because it's pure cotton, totally breathable, and just a light layer. One also has to be careful that baby does not suffocate. So we've got to be cautious when we do use a blanket. And then I haven't got all the options, but there are a few options on baby bags or sleep bags. This is a typical winter bag, got layers of flannel, which we could use for our winters, but I think our summers are really moderate. Babies really do not need to be in any sleeping bag. It's just perhaps lightly dressed for our summer months. And then this was just one of the other swaddlers I found that we could put the baby in, so the hands going to the top. It is a really nice one, so the hands are up, but there's no self-soothing happening because we've got fabric. So it's an issue. The hands need to be free for that self-soothing, so we don't need to use the swaddling to soothe the baby. Baby will be taught how to soothe himself. Okie dokie, moms and dads. So we spoke a lot in our earlier talk on we should rather wear the babies. Babies ideally should be in utero for 52 weeks, but we know that that's not possible, and moms would really not like to be pregnant for 52 weeks. So human babies are born on average 38 to 41 weeks. And so the suggestion is that we rather try and wear our baby and carry our baby for at least another 6 weeks. Your baby obviously can't tell you verbally that he does not want to be worn. He would start complaining and be fussy and not want to be wrapped up or burritoed on the skin. And this is what I talk about. Skin burritos have the baby on the mom's body. So you've got exchange of the microbiome from mom to baby. He's breathing, the head turns slightly to the side. We can have a hand sort of like that. He's feeling the breast. He's reminding the breast to be making milk. So while he's here, this little hand could be tucked in, or we can have it out so you can self-soothe, so we can have an option. The little hips are sort of like splayed out and tucked in. And then you use your shirt, and it doesn't have to be a shirt like this. It can be a homemade shirt. We are then going to just wrap the baby, and we can tie ourselves up. And this frees me up to do housework. This frees me to do shopping. And I've got a secure, happy, content baby. If I needed to breastfeed, I could just readjust this, ship the baby over and feed at the same time, and no one would even know that I'd be breastfeeding. And then just make sure there's good ventilation for baby, and every so often make sure that baby can turn the head from side to side, and he can self-soothe this hand. And this is the baby wearing. If we could do this for the next 6 weeks, until baby's about 6 weeks old, we could do the skin to skin and the baby wearing. Microbiome will be transferred, and we'll hopefully have a healthier baby. Also, this could be a good position for baby with reflux. So we can have a baby upright most of the day, and mom's still got hands available to do whatever she would need to do.